right, so I'm here with Coach Gabel, Coach Miller. And it's been a bit since we've been here. Last time we recorded a podcast, it was before spring Christmas break. So football season has ended since then, of course. So can you kind of give us a review on that season, a recap on how you thought the team went and how overall the team succeeded?
We ended up 10-2, lost to Ralston Valley in the quarterfinals. We're conference champs for the second year in a row. We were co-champs the year before. It went well. I thought we had a good season. It wasn't. It didn't end the way you wanted to, and it only does for one team. But we dealt with a lot. We had a lot of injuries, which is typical. I mean, most teams, they're dealing with the same thing. I thought, if I'm being real honest, I thought we played our best football week 6 or 7. If I go probably week 6. And for whatever reason, we kind of hit a wall. So you kind of have to go back and look at why. Maybe some of the things that we were doing training-wise, or maybe some of the things we weren't doing training-wise. But we had some key injuries and some really important spots, and guys came in and played well. It's just, when you have those losses, sometimes it's hard to recover. But watching film, I thought we had heavy legs, and so that's probably some of the way we were practicing, and probably need to take some looks at down the road of how to taper your players a little better, or where are you loading them, front loading them, or being able to monitor where they're at during the season. So we got to do a better job of that. But I'm very, very pleased with the season. It just didn't end the way you wanted to, and that was tough.
Do you think that loss to Ralston Valley came down to the playbook, or kind of just who practiced better?
Maybe we got beat by a better team, and essentially they should have beaten Cherry Creek the week after us, and they did. And they just couldn't.
It was close.
Well, they
21-14, right?
Yeah, they had them down, and they just they missed 2 field goals, and then I want to say they fumbled on the 5, or they win. And so it's not like we got beat by a inferior team. I thought that probably overall they every bit as talented or more talented than we were. It's just when in the playoffs in 5A football, when you get down to the 8 teams, they're all pretty even. So it's just a matter of who can make some plays and do some things. And I just, if X's and O's, you'd always like to schematically do something differently. You go back and watch the film, and why'd you do this or why'd you do that? So that's always the case. If it wasn't, then you're not a good coach. So you got to figure out scheme-wise, how can you, I think different than scheme, it's about players as opposed to plays. Did we get our best players the ball during key situations? I thought we tried to. It just, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it didn't happen that night. And one team has to go home, and that was us.
So from the season, what do you think your favorite game was?
Regis. Yeah.
That was a good game.
They kicked a field goal, I believe, to go ahead at the end. Well, with like a
1.5 minutes left.
Minute and a half left.
Yep.
And we had the ball on our 20-yard line, and we drive 80 yards to score with about 20 seconds left on the clock against a good team. So that was probably the high point. We beat them on their homecoming, and I think in the history of the school, they've never lost a homecoming. So that was a big win for our program. I think we're the first public school to ever beat all 3 privates. So we beat Valor, Mullen, and Regis all in the same season. So we had a lot of high points. It's just, when you want to be the best, and I think that's what Pine Creek wants, you're not satisfied with coming up short. But on the flip side of that, there were a lot of high points. A lot of guys had great seasons and capped off great careers. 7 kids went on to play, I think maybe 8. 7 signed 2 weeks ago to go play collegiately, and then 1 signed before Christmas break. So you send 8 guys to go on and play at the next level. That's exciting, and kind of a culmination of a real good senior class that had a great career.
Hey, well, Todd and I have this conversation every year, and I don't know how he does it, but because they don't have a ton of kids. Like we're a small 5A school, because like 15 students above the mark to go from 4A to 5.
Not much.
Not much, and like he loses guys like ACLs, and they just put another one in, and it amazes me. This is a constant conversation every year with him. It amazes me how he and his staff can get kids, those football players, to just fill right in and almost like they don't miss a beat, because they've been trained so well from the freshman all the way through. And I've been watching them do that for years. So we try to mimic that too. But I think it's impressive because they get hurt, kids get injured all the time and just keep filling in, and those guys step up to the plate. And guys were wearing different numbers at the end of the year, filling roles that they didn't really normally fill, and you almost didn't even notice it. So, I just from an outside looking in, I got a lot of wrestlers that play football, which I love.
Yeah.
So I go to those games as much as I can. Just watching what they do is pretty impressive. And the 10-2 with the 5A, a 4A team up to 5A was very impressive on my end. Like every win was like a heartfelt, like you had to dig for it. Nothing was easy. They had to fight for everything.
I think that's the biggest difference that, I didn't understand what you guys or other, because we had been 4A for so long, even though the rest of our sports were 5. And you kind of want to tell yourself, well, it's not any different. And it is. So
different.
Stepping in the last 3 years, it's not different in the sense of football players are football and football is football. But the depth and I think the depth is the biggest thing, and then also nothing against 4A coaches, but staffs are better, so they're able to make adjustments quicker and get to the next play. And I think and that's been really fun for me professionally, but it's been hard also just understanding that you go into a game, you're going for 4 quarters, and it takes a toll on you. We've had seasons when we were in 4A where 10 games in and our kids hadn't played half the games because they sit out the second half because we were already on a running clock.
That was normal.
That was normal. And we didn't get a running clock on a team this year. So they got to go 4 quarters. And I think with that, you get those plays add up. And
Yeah, they do.
and what happens is it takes a toll on your body, and when you don't have the depth, and that's just the reality, and it's going to be that way. But schools like Columbine find ways. They Columbine played about 15 kids, was it, and they won it all with a great senior class. But it can be done, and that's the formula that you have to use. You got to get your best players on the field. It's about players, not plays, and
Staying healthy.
You got to stay healthy.
Stay healthy and stay tough.
Yep.
So maybe other than favorite game, do you have like a favorite memory from maybe practice or travel or
Podcast with me
all
and
time?
you.
All time?
Yeah, let's go all time.
All right.
22 years of all time?
Yeah. There's a thing called Shadow Man. It's a dummy, and you put it in an inner tube and you pull it along. Well, they're like $700. So I go, I'm not paying that. So I hollowed out one. I hollowed out one of our dummies, and then I went down to it was one of the auto stores, and I bought an inner tube, and I put the dummy inside the inner tube. And then I took one of our harnesses to the sleds, that you put around your shoulders, and it worked. You could pull it along or whatever. So Coach Webbles put it on, and he's running down the field with it on a kickoff.
With his flip-flops on.
No, I ain't no flip-flops. Jack Lydiot punches the dummy, and the dummy goes like flying, like didn't anticipate this ever happening. Just goes flying, and the inner tube started in the air, like going sideways, Well, Noah Held, who played here, is running down the field, and the inner tube gets stuck in his his arm, like right here. So he's going this way, and Coach Wibbles is going that way, and the string is like a dog running, and it chokes him. It popped Coach Wibbles, and I mean, he levitated. Like, it pulled him up, and he hurt his back, and I couldn't stop laughing. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But just stupid funny stuff.
Do you have a picture of that dummy? Or
No.
We had a picture of Wibbles.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a funny moment. But this year, I don't know. I think the Valor Christian game, great crowd, great atmosphere.
Was that a home game?
That was a home game. First game of the year. So that was really cool.
It was packed.
It was packed. Yeah. And then, the Regis game going down, and
some guy was smoking a cigarette right in front of me in the stadium.
At D20?
Yeah, should I name his name?
No, we'll keep that. So those are a couple moments. And there's always those little moments that you forget, but just the everyday of being with kids, and it just doesn't start during the season. So that season starts in January. So I mean, it's 4 days a week.
11 months out of the year.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. To be successful at high school, you have to put in 10 to 11 months. You can't coach 3 or 4 months out of the year. Like, everything outside the season matters in the season.
Yeah.
And that's why, I've said it multiple times, the coaches here at this school, we don't put in 3 months out of the year. It's 11 months. And then the month off, we're planning for the other 11 months. Like, to be successful, it takes that. It takes the dedication of coaches and athletes all year round.
And you don't get paid for it. So,
No,
that's one thing that people don't understand is contractually you're just during your season. So,
well, and that ain't much either.
No.
Pennies.
And that's it's just, none of these coaches do it for money or they do it for that. They do it for, they love the game. They
You're
love
not a
being around
millionaire
students.
coaching football?
No.
I'm a multimillionaire because of coaching, buddy.
So wrestling season just ended, Coach Gabel, 2 weekends ago. So started in November. Can you kind of talk to that on how you think this season went for the wrestlers?
It was good. It was good. We had a really talented team and won our City League Metro tournament. I think this is number 11 for us, and I think the closest team to win titles is there's 2 other teams that won maybe 3 or 4. So we keep winning that and doing well, and it takes all 14 wrestlers to score points. So as a team, I thought we did really well. We finished 5th in the state, and we put 5 on the podium, had a state champ, which is hard to do in 5A. And we scored more points this year than any other year, other than the year we won it in 2012. We scored more points and still took 5th. So the depth is there. The depth is good. It's very competitive in 5A. We would have done better in any of the other classifications, but 5A is tough. Got great teams, and the men I had in the room did very well. They got on the podium. They put points on the board, and so I have no complaints at all. We won a bunch of tournaments, won a bunch of duels, won the league title and dual title, and reloading for next year. And then we just last week we finished kids state. And I have 166 kids in my little kids club I started 18 years ago.
And your son won it.
My 10-year-old son won it.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
45 kids in the bracket, and he won 5 matches and won the tournament. So yeah, it was a pretty proud moment.
So wrestlers, they kind of travel out of town a lot. Can you kind of talk to the planning to that? You guys go.
You mean during the season?
Yeah, California, Kansas.
Well, we can wrestle 6 tournaments, 6 weekends, and 4 of those are out of state. And I set the schedule, but you want to set the schedule so it's tough enough where your kids are going to get challenged. They're going to get exposed to better wrestling. I don't want to take a kid into the state tournament in Colorado with an undefeated record. So if you have an undefeated record with my schedule, then you're an animal. Like, you are an animal, and you're not getting touched at the state tournament. So I create we go to Kansas City, Missouri, where we'll probably see you next year.
Yeah.
And you'll bring up some barbecue for me.
There you go.
And we go there. There's 100 teams in that tournament, 120 teams, and go to California. We go to Tucson this next year instead of California, and several times in Kansas. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, we have to travel, and I travel with my JV too. We travel out of town. We stay the night in places, and we get them varsity competition. So, you got to increase the competition to increase your level and how you compete.
So what would you say your favorite duel or tournament has been this year?
Gosh, people are like, why do you go back to the Metro tournament? Because it's all the city teams, including like Elizabeth. They threw them in this year, which was great to see them. Callahan and all these others. So there's like 28 teams, and you compete against the other teams in the city. It's a sort of a bragging right. All these guys are my friends, so I really enjoy that. I enjoy regionals because it's hard for us right now to beat Pomona. They're nationally ranked, so our state championship, we try to win the state title every year, and we're going to compete for it. But winning a regional title is a big thing, and we were able to do that this year. So, but I always go back to the Metro tournament. I love that tournament. It's the city tournament. We get to see all my friends, and I got to watch my daughter wrestle this year too, side by side. So she was a freshman, and on the all-girls team that goes out of Discovery Canyon. And I was able to watch her play second in the league and second regionals and go to state. So,
what tournament has the best food for coaches?
Well, it used to not be Metro's because Doherty ran it.
Yeah.
But
Noel was probably taking all the profits.
100%. If you ever hear this. Anyways, Vol.4 Carson took it over this year, and they ran it out of their new facility, and they did awesome.
Good food,
dude.
But
the parents cooked. The parents cooked, and so it's a close second. They were really good this year, so props on you, Vol.4 Carson. But I think Garden City, Kansas.
They had food trucks.
No, all the parents come in. It's homemade. It's all mostly Mexican food, right? Mm-hmm. So it's homemade green chili. It's it's tamales. It's 80% of the reason why I married my wife. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I married her because she's beautiful and she's smart. I gained 50 pounds when I married you, Rudy Lee, because your Mexican food is amazing. And by the way,
let's move on to the next thing.
No. By the way, I gotta say this. I put ketchup on my tamales. Okay, no. We figured out why this is. It's like
you put ketchup on your pizza too.
Truth, and sometimes ranch. But here's the thing. It's like a corn dog. We figured this out. Jenny Ryle and I figured this out. It's like a corn dog. The masa is like a. If you've never tried it, don't mock it. Just saying. All right, moving on.
So the Vol.4 Carson has a new arena, right? How is that?
It's huge. It's awesome. Makes me happy inside.
So, favorite match or the tournament was Metro. So what's your favorite memory from the season?
I don't know. I loved watching my daughter wrestle, honestly. Just because she's brand new at it. She's trying to learn how to wrestle, and she's a hard worker. So, I mean, she's not on my team, but I loved watching her wrestle, and the girls. It's hard to pick. I mean, Luke Graver, regional finals, behind with 15 seconds left, behind by a point on his feet, finds a way to just blast through the number 4th ranked guy in the state to get a takedown with 7 seconds left and win the match. Just pure heart. Like Luke Graver was 0-11 on JV as a freshman. And he is a pure example of just hard work to get someplace. And heart. Like hard work and heart. I had a lot of great memories like that. I mean, he had several matches like that. Watching Griffin Ryle win the state championship. Last year we was in the semifinals to a kid from Pomona.
Wasn't it the same kid?
Same kid. We had the same kid in the finals this year, and Griffin literally just destroyed him. He just handled him in every position. So watching that, watching the guys come back that lost and take third, that's hard to do. In a state tournament, like Everest and Eli, when you lose the goal of winning a state title, but now you come back through and finish third. That's hard to do. That's a character strength. Watching that stuff's awesome. I mean, I could go through a handful, but the most memorable one is probably Luke Graver, just beast moding it. I'm just gonna will my way to win. And he did the same thing in football. Like Todd threw him as a quarterback on JV, and he had no idea what he was
We
doing.
went undefeated because of him.
He
it's
just
not everybody,
goes.
but,
He's got a heart, and he doesn't know what 80% is. He's all in.
He's always got a smile on his face.
Yeah. So, anyways, I got a lot of great, moments with all kinds of wrestlers. It was a good year for us.
And then girls wrestling, they wrestle at DCC because of the district team and all that. So were there only 2 tournaments where the guys and the girls wrestled at the same place, Metros and State?
Yeah.
And then would you travel to see your daughter wrestle other times, or just?
That's the only time I could see him.
Yeah.
But it was nice at State because I stayed in the ball center the entire time. I was under loving on the girls, encouraging them, motivating, coaching. Even though I didn't get to sit in the corner, it was still nice to be there, and because they come in and train with us too. I've been working with those girls for 4 years, so it was really nice to see. Adriana, 2-time state finalist. A lot of those girls. Mia Thorne was 3rd in state. So a lot of those girls did really well.
Then next year for the girls team at Pine Creek, are you going to be running that too, or are you going to have a separate head coach?
Well, it needs board approval this next month for funding, but we've been told that we're going to get another one. So
Hopefully.
we got coaches ready to go and going to apply. Got a schedule ready to go. Got people in line to help. Just need the green light, baby. Don't release this until after the board approval.
So the next big topic, of course, you guys have been here both 22 years now.
Yep, hired the same day.
Hired the same day, and
Same
Coach
day the
Miller,
cricket book came into play.
You're going to Kansas City next year, so kind of, Coach Gabel, how do you feel about that? Or
I
what are your
told
thoughts?
Neville that he's like, "Can I ask the questions?" I said, "Ask what you want." No, this was a hard one for me. Todd and I, gosh, we got hired the same day. Todd and I have had some, we've run businesses together. Which is why the podcast sort of works, is because we know each other so well. We've had some highs, we've had some lows, but Todd is one of my closest friends, and Todd is more than a close friend. Todd is a brother to me, and so it is. Men deal with things different, obviously, than women. That's how we sort of were created, and so men just sort of go through it. We'll get through it. We move forward, but it's talking to my wife last night about this issue. It's going to be a hard one. Todd's a brother to me, and so we'll get through it. But it's a big chunk of me. It's a big chunk of who I am as a man. I watched Todd. From the very first year I got to Pine Creek, I watched Todd how he handled kids in class, and I remember some kid flipped me off, and I lost it. I lost it, and I'm not sure what I was going to do, but I was chasing after the kid, and he jumped in front of me and grabbed me. Billy, you just got the job. What are you doing? And
Voice of reason.
But just watching Todd handle people and students and thinking, I can do that. I watched how Todd coached. I watched how Todd raised his kids, and just, Todd calls me at 2 in the morning to come watch his, oldest daughter because Maddie was being bored. That's Todd's in my life together for 22 years. So, it's half of my life with this guy, and I know bigger and better things are coming on. I know that this is a transition in his life he needed to make for his family. But man, it's hard because I'm losing a chunk of me because we're so close. So yeah, it's a bummer, and I hate it, and I wish things were different. I wish that they would have handled things differently here with the district. I'm not very happy with that, but change sometimes has to happen. And we are both Christians, and we believe that all things work for the good of those who love him, who are the called according to his purpose. And so if we truly believe that, then we believe in the end result that God is in control. And so I got to let that go, and I got to trust that God is moving Todd in the direction that he wants Todd to go.
And then, Coach Miller, you don't have to talk about why necessarily, but how do you kind of feel about changing schools? Are you excited? Are you nervous? Or?
Oh yeah, I'm nervous. Well, first off, thanks for the kind words, and I words can't express the gratitude I've had being here at Pine Creek. All my kids have went here, and it's kind of where I've it's the only place I've been a head coach is Pine Creek High School. So that's all I've known for the last 22 years and last 19 years as a head coach. So that is, it's been gratifying and great friendships, and that will always be with you. But I think sometimes you come to a point in your career where you just go, am I willing to do something about it, or am I just going to stay and keep complaining about it? So I had just gotten to that point where, philosophically, I think that where I was at professionally was much different than people in different rooms than this high school that make decisions were. And, nice people, I think, have the best intent, but not necessarily don't understand what we're doing at the grassroots and not willing to walk on our shoes. And I think leadership, I always believe leadership needs to push people forward. And I think right now the philosophy is we support the leadership as opposed the leadership supporting you. And that to me has been difficult to deal with. And so I searched out another opportunity. And it was just that simple. I mean, it wasn't because of the kids. It wasn't because of relationships here at the school, because those are all extremely positive. It's just you start looking, moving forward, what does it look like? And then how are they, trying to be better? Are we trying to be better? And what are we doing to be better? And it wasn't just one thing. There's a million things. And I think sometimes you need the ability to make a change to renew your spirit a little bit. So 22 years at one place is a long time. And 19 as a head coach is a long time. I would have loved to end my career here, and that was one of my goals. But I feel led to go somewhere else, and I'm happy to do that, and I'm excited. I'm excited for that adventure, but there's a lot of nervousness too, just because of the unknown. I don't know one person in Kansas City, and
but he'll know every place you can get barbecue within a month.
Done.
So do you know who's going to take over here?
No,
as head
I have
coach?
no idea, and I won't be a part of that, and I shouldn't be.
It's going to be a void. Like, I'm sure we'll get somebody good, but it's going to be a void because it's hard to replace the positive stuff that this staff has done. Like this football staff and what Todd has done, it's going to be a culture shift and change because people don't understand the behind the scenes stuff that Todd does with leadership classes and just conversations with men in his sport and in other sports, and how he pushes other sports. A lot of football coaches don't want their kids to play other sports. Todd is like, dude, I want multiple sports. Play baseball, play football, play basketball. Like, he's always been positive. And you don't know what you're going to get with the next head coach because they might not be the same philosophy.
So with head
Is
coaches,
that accurate, you think?
Yeah, but I would also, yes, but I would also caution football will still be football just because I don't leave. Pine Creek's not going to die. So that's, it's going to go on, and they're going to, and they'll be fine. So and that next person that comes in doesn't have to be, they got to be them, and they got to put their mark on this program. And I think that's important. And that's the same thing that at the next level is what I'm trying to do is, I'm replacing a guy also that had been there for 15 years, and I can't be him, nor should I. But it's important for me too, I think, moving to where I'm going is I need to immerse myself in that culture and learn what they do. And I think that's important for the next guy here is he doesn't have to be Todd Miller, but on the flip side of that, he has to immerse himself in the Pine Creek culture, which is sharing of athletes, making sure your young men are good dudes in the community, making sure they're getting the grades, making sure they're doing all of those things, and holding people accountable to that. So
That's well said.
So with head coaches, is it usually they hire a new head coach with experience, or do they sometimes bring up assistant coaches?
I had zero experience. So when I got hired here, I had it was my first head job. So
Well, Baseball, even.
Yeah.
We had
But
some,
football,
yeah.
football was my first. Now, with that being said, I had been a head freshman coach, a head JV coach, and I had coordinated. So I had done everything except being a head coach. So I would say, given this position, I mean, I don't know. They're gonna decide in the direction that the program wants to go, and I think they'll make the best choice.
Do other coaches get a say in it, like your defense, offensive coordinators, all the other coaching staff?
Well, they're leaving too. So essentially, it's a reboot here at the high school with coaches, and maybe it needs that.
Well,
honestly,
I'll add this. If whenever this is released, and if you're watching this, the new staff coming in for the football, you will get 100% support from my program, my coaching staff, and I know from the other programs. Like, it's a community here. So with Todd, without Todd, it's still a community where we all help each other. Like, we're not a big enough school that we can be individualized. Right? We are all together as a family. We all go to all the games and support each other because that's the culture of Pine Creek. So I believe in, and I agree with Todd, that whoever comes on board will do a phenomenal job. And we are all here to help them do that, whatever you guys need.
So with this
It sounded like a cheesy commercial pitch, didn't it?
yeah, it was good. It was good though.
Like deodorant pitch or something.
Yeah.
So new school, Lee Summit High School.
Lee
right?
Summit.
So did they give you a call, or did you kind of look into their program?
I looked. So I had been looking. This wasn't something that just happened. Yeah, it wasn't something that I had an argument with somebody, so I started filling out resumes, or applications. So I've always been in a philosophy that, if you feel called to do something, you start opening doors and you let God close them. And a door opened and I walked through it. And that was it. It was that simple. Now it's been a process. It's been a long process. It's a total career and family change for my wife and I. So we're empty nesters, so that made it easier. I'm at a different stage in my life than I was 5 years ago.
Nobody there to watch you chase around the kitchen.
No, gotta wax the floors.
The floors.
But it's just tough, because a lot of good memories, and more important than the memories, a lot of really good relationships. And that has been the most rewarding thing. Has not been the state championships. It has been the friendships.
So I know the big question around the school is why. Are you guys allowed to talk to that, or just?
I think I answered that. There's not one thing, right? There isn't one. There's a bunch of things. And then I came to a point in my career, and I'm just being really, really honest, that our success here was kind of paralyzed me. And I needed, professionally, I'm just speaking professionally from my heart, a new challenge. And I'm not saying Pine Creek wasn't that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, for me, at this point in my life, I needed something to kind of try to push me to a different level, or get me out of my comfort zone. And I've never been that person, and I thought maybe the past couple years, even though we were pushing and doing the things we needed to do, I don't want to be stagnant. And I thought we did some things differently offensively, and I thought we really tried to get kids in the right spot. But then again, you get to a point in your community where I'm not, and this isn't against anybody, but you become, I want to say, there's a general apathy that comes with success, and the expectation is it's just going to happen, and I think not that you get taken for granted, but you get taken for granted, and this just doesn't happen. It's a combination of great parents, great students, good coaching, good administration, and you see the cracks in the facade a little bit, and not that you can't plug that up. It's just it was a bridge too far for me at this point.
Well, wouldn't you say also, and I think if you ask any head coach, and specifically successful head coaches, it's lonely at the top. I mean, you have your genuine friends that are really happy for your success. Then you have your friends that say they're happy, but they're really not behind the scenes. And then you have your enemies, like people that are hardcore jealous, and the friends that are really behind you, wins and losses wise, and that support you are very few. There's a lot of jealousy with winning. And I think that's in general. There's a lot of jealousy when people win. And most people are not willing to put in the time and effort to create an environment of winning because they think it just happens. And I think I probably, I guess if you disagree with me, go for it and say it. But at the top, there's very few that understand that it is a very lonely place to be. And when you find people that are in that same situation, you sort of link arms with them.
It's crazy because it is a lonely place, but it's where everybody wants to be.
Everyone wants to be there, and
so you want to get there, but when you do get there, you figure out. What I have, and not that we're there, right? Because we're not. We're a really good team in 5A football, and then in 4A, we had a chance to win it every year. So we were knocking on the door, or we were there for 10 years. That you get to that point where chasing and the journey is more important than the top of the pyramid. And that's what became, that's still what's really enjoyable to me. And I'm looking, and maybe this is selfish, but I'm just looking for a new challenge.
You'll do good out there.
We'll see. The league we're in is as good as any in the Midwest, and
nobody works as hard as
we
you.
got our hands,
Would you agree?
got a job cut out for
and
us.
Again, I watch you, and this is the conversation I've had with you before. You have sacrificed a lot. People don't understand that the amount of work. And we work hard. Like my wrestling staff, we work hard. We go 11 months out of the year. Even as much as I go, I look at Todd's staff and I'm like, man, these guys work harder than anybody I know, and it produces. And so I know wherever you go, you're going to take that core value of hard work, integrity, do the right thing, and you'll produce success with it. No matter how high level it is, that's what you'll do. So.
And I think this too. My identity used to be my coaching, and I that was my identity. And I think sometimes you lose yourself in the work, right? So it's easy to say that I put all this time in, I did this or that, which every coach does. I mean, a lot of coaches,
every coach.
They put in a lot of work. So I guess.
Hold on. Are you stepping on a cord?
Maybe. Are we good? Can you hear now?
Hello?
I'm good.
Oh, can you guys hear you?
I can hear you.
Oh, maybe it's just my headphones. All right, go.
So, I guess going back to my identity isn't in the wins and losses anymore. It's, I guess what I'm trying to say is when I'm going out there, we're going to try to be as good as we possibly can, and we're going to chase winning with everything we got. But my identity's not caught up in that. It's caught up in, are the coaches around me getting better? Are the players getting better? Are we progressing? So it's not about perfection. It's about performance. It's not about perfection, but it's about progress. And I think that is where I've really changed philosophically in probably the last 3 or 4 years of what does that look like and how do you get there. And I think if you do that and you keep that balance, you have success, but you can enjoy it. And we walked off the field in, I think 2019. 2019 we won it. Yeah. And it was a relief. It wasn't a joy. It was a relief. And I thought there has to be more than just this, So you recalibrate and you readjust and you start, what are you prioritizing? and what are you, what is getting in the way of the happiness? And I think, and not that that's the most important thing either, but I think just being able to put things and prioritize and put people before you. It's always about relationships. It's always about people. And I go back again. It's always about developing relationships.
Agreed.
And I think, and this is my opinion, that's where education doesn't get it. They think it's all about what you know, and they think about it's how we educate the kid. And to me, it's about the wisdom of the individual. I'd rather have a wise person as opposed to an educated person. And I think that's one of the reasons I'm moving too.
So to end on a more positive
Yeah,
note
let's
here,
go. Let's go.
Well, this is a good
That was
one.
positive.
This is good.
Sorry,
This
not
was
positive, but
That
to
was
end-
deep. That was like Confucius deep.
To transition to the end here, if you guys could retire anywhere, what would it be? Like somewhere warm or somewhere in a different country? Where
It's a good question, actually. Billy, you go first.
Oh, thanks, Todd. Let's see. Well, my first pick would be on the moon, but we never went there. I had to say it. Yo, you know, I'm a tropical guy. I like the beach. So if I could give myself a nice island, well, I like Florida. I do. I like California. I don't like the politics of California. I like the beach and how cool it is, but warm it is. But my wife doesn't. So I don't know, man. I like Texas. But I got, you know, I've got a lot of phone calls. Hey, are you staying or leaving? I'm like, I got a freshman here. I got kids. You know, I got a 7th grader, a 5th grader, a 3rd grader in the district. I'm here. I'm like the fungus under the nails you can't get rid of. It just keeps growing. You keep but it's a good fungus, of course. But I don't know. You know, I like the beach. So. I don't know. I thought about Australia, but everything deadly lives in Australia. I mean, everything deadly.
Yeah, awesome
Ready
accent.
for this one? The inland taipan, most dangerous venomous snake in the world,
lives in
Australia. Coastal taipan, number 3 in Australia. Some of the most dangerous spiders in the world, Australia. So
Is that the only place in the world that got marsupials?
I don't
Like
know.
koalas? And
Yeah, koalas,
I
kangaroos.
maybe so. I mean, other than zoos. Hey, did you know a platypus has fangs on its hind legs?
Duck-billed platypus?
Yeah, duck-billed platypus. Mammal has fangs. Is the only mammal that has fangs on its legs.
Fangs?
It secretes venom or toxic
Oh,
venom.
yeah, I knew that. It's a weird animal.
Totally out of blue. Just pull
Yeah.
that one out. Duck-billed platypus. I got a lot of those things like facetious. Only English word that has all the vowels in order. A to U.
Really?
Yep. Only English word. Yep.
I
and-
can't spell very well,
Hey,
so it don't matter.
what's the one of the only English words that has all the vowels in order from back to forward? Ready for this one? Steve Jenkins. I remember this from junior year in high school, 1995. Facetious was number 1 and subcontinental number 2.
Subcontinental.
Golly.
You graduated in 1995?
Nope. That was a junior year,
Wow.
96.
I graduated in 91.
That's
He's
a long,
old.
long time ago.
He is
Yeah, he is
old. He's older than the wrinkles.
All right, so
Oh.
where would I want to retire? I don't plan on retiring. I don't want to.
Well, when you retire.
When I retire.
And let's assume you're not in a wheelchair. Because beaches aren't accessible in wheelchairs.
There comes a point where like cold weather, I think south, anywhere south, like, I mean, I maybe a little bit different.
He wants Mississippi because of the fried
Yeah.
food.
Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, anywhere where, just really good football. That's.
You can just go watch it.
Go watch it.
I'd
be a
take
part
you
of
for an
it.
Appalachians Mountain retired guy.
I could. I'd be a dentist there.
You're looking for a what? Dude?
Yeah, I think I don't plan on retiring in the sense of I want to keep coaching and keep doing that. I mean, I don't know about teaching. There comes a point where I think it's time to get out of the classroom it's kind of a young person's game. And the crazy thing is, as soon as you get kind of okay at teaching, you're at the end of your career. So I mean, it's kind of an odd thing when you look at it, and it's the same thing in coaching. Like I do think that you get better as you get older, and that's that wisdom part, right? It has nothing to do with education. It's the scars that you have, and you get a lot when you've been at a place for 19 years. But moving forward, I think, it depends on where my kids end up. So that would probably be
And your
a
grandkids?
factor. And if that ever happens.
Great grandkids.
I'm not sure. But that's a good question. I know I don't want to retire. I would like to continue to coach and stay active and keep my mind going. And I think it does keep you young and let you listen to a lot of modern music, which is awesome.
Do you plan on finishing out your coaching in Kansas City, or do you think you'll?
I'm gonna run as long as I can, and my thing is trying to develop someone to take over, and just fit right in seamlessly. And I think that's the calling that I'm feeling, is to come in and get a program. Not that they're not going in the right direction, but maybe a different trajectory, and then really try to take someone under my wing, or however you want to mentor, I don't know, whatever you want to say, and then hand over that program to them. And that would be very, I guess, selfishly satisfying at this point in my career. I think I got 10 to 15 really good years left, God willing, with health,
Your dad
But
coached.
65, 60s.
Your dad coached till he was what?
70s?
Yeah.
Late 60s, late 60s. Late 60s.
Yeah. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. And even if you're not on the gridiron, you still coach. You're still investing in other people. You're
Yeah.
still pouring into other people and mentoring.
Right.
And yep.
Great question, Neville. I'm just
Nice,
off the cuff,
Neville.
too.
That was good.
Sounds good.
This guy. Did people know why you were gone over Christmas?
No,
Tell us, Neville.
it's okay.
No,
we can save that for a different.
No. I would love to. So Neville took a month and went to India and got what?
Became a priest.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Studied and did all that in
Mhm,
wrestling season and lost 60 pounds.
Yeah.
Got
So
healthy.
you went 4 weeks?
Well, he didn't lose
You went for
60
4
pounds.
weeks?
He didn't lose 60 pounds in India
Yeah.
because he had plenty of cobra to eat.
From August on 60, but I went for about 4 weeks.
Uh-huh.
So the whole month of December 1st, got back
So
January 1st.
8th, yeah.
Did you have to learn a different language?
No.
It's in English?
Yeah, they mainly speak English there.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind
Yeah.
of.
Eat cobras.
The British colony.
Exactly.
1.8 billion people.
A lot of
I
people.
know. They're going to pass China.
Crazy. Well, that wraps it up.
That wraps
So-
it up. Thank you.
Ow!